Amelia Hernandez. ¿De dónde soy? La Rainser, San Andrés La Rainser. Para mí, yo sigo siendo de La Rainser. Claro,
Well,
ya
for
no me he
me,
visto como
I feel I'm
de
from
traje
Laranza,
como allá en La
from
Rainser, ya
San
no me he
Andreas,
visto.
Laranza.
Ya no me he visto, ya
Of
no
course,
me
I'm
pongo
not
la
wearing the
ropa de
dress from
allá.
there in
Pero
Laranza,
aún
so I'm not seen in
no
it.
digo que ya no soy de La Rainser, claro que soy
I'm
de
not
La
seen in the
Rainser.
clothing,
No
and I
dejo
didn't put on the dress from
no
there.
dejo de existir que si ya no soy de La Rainser. Yo
But do
para
not
mí,
say that I am no
hasta la
longer from
muerte
Laranza. Clearly,
pienso
I'm from
soy.
Laranza.
Mi
I would
mamá,
not
mi
let it be
papá
said that
viven en
now
su
I'm
casa.
not from Laranza.
Sí. Su trabajo son de
For me, until
campo,
I
así como
died,
sembrar
that's it for me.
maíz, frijol, o otros trabajos más,
My
así
mother
como
and father
sembrar
have their home
flores.
there, and so they work in the
Es su trabajo que
fields,
se dedican
sowing
ellos.
corn and beans.
Sí.
The other
Y
thing they
así
grow
como
is
mi mamá, pues, que ya
flowers.
no muy sale al
That's what
campo,
they
pues
do.
tiene otro trabajito, así como
So
artesanía.
my mom, when not on the
Es la que se
fields, another
dedica
thing
a
that's
hacer
common is she does
telares o
crafts.
blusas.
She
Hechas
sews
así
blouses and
como
makes
útiles.
upales. I have my 3
Y
sisters who
otros mis
also do the
hermanos lo
same
mismo,
work, doing
también trabajan así
handicrafts.
de
Yes.
artesanía. Sí.
¿Era una decisión difícil para ti?
Was it a hard decision for you to come here, to the city?
Bueno, para mí sí. Para mí sí. Era muy...
To go for me, yes.
Bueno,
For
mi
me,
idea yo pues
yes.
salirme para no
Why?
trabajar
Because
en
it
el
was
campo.
my idea to
Me
quit,
gustaría
not to
estar
work in the
hacia la
field.
ciudad.
I like this in the city. It was my decision.
¿Cómo sentían tus padres cuando tú...
How did your parents feel when you came to the city?
Bueno, mis padres, bueno, más que mi mamá, ella no quería pues que yo viniera porque...
Well, more so my mother.
porque
She
allá,
wasn't wanting
claro
me
que
to
los
come.
ayudo mi mamá,
Because
ir a
clearly
trabajar
there
en
they
el
helped their
campo,
mothers with the work in the field, doing the
hacer qué hacer en
housework.
la casa. Como yo,
Like
bueno,
me,
somos 6
there are
hermanas,
6
pero los
children,
demás mis
but the
hermanas
rest of
ya
the
eran
sisters were
casadas.
married.
Tenía
They are
yo
the
mis
little
hermanitos, pero
sisters,
estaban
but they were just
chiquitos,
young girls.
estaban chiquitos, entonces yo más la que
So
yo le
I,
ayudaba
more
a mi
than the
mamá.
others, I
Entonces
helped my
cuando
mom.
yo le dije a mi mamá que sí me voy a ir a trabajar en la
So that
ciudad,
when I told my mom that I was going to
a
come
buscar
work in
la
the
vida
city
mejor
to
como
seek
yo
a
le
better
digo.
life, and I
Claro
told
que mi
her.
mamá, pues,
Certainly
claro,
my
no le
mother, she
pareció
looked real
tan buena
sad when I told her my
buena, pues, la
news,
noticia que
and
yo le
even
di,
more upset when she
pero
realized I
más
was
que
not
nada no
speaking
le
of
no me
another, that
quedaba
it
de
was
otra
me who
pues
was
más que
coming.
venir. ¿Sí?
Pero puedes ganar más dinero aquí, ¿sí?
But you earn more money
Bueno,
working
no es
here, right?
tanto, no es tanto. El problema, como yo te digo,
Well,
que ya
not
no
so
estoy, pues,
much.
que
Not
así
so
en el
much.
campo,
The problem that I
sufriendo en el
had then in the
calor,
fields, but I don't have
o
anymore,
irme en
is
el
that
campo
one
a
suffers
hacer
from the heat in the
limpias de
field,
milpa.
tending the family plot.
Yo tengo un hijo, y
I'm
mi
married as
esposo
well.
también trabaja,
I have a
y yo
son.
también yo
My husband
trabajo,
also works and I
y mi
work.
hijo se va en la escuela.
And my son goes to
Sí.
school.
Ya en las tardes, pues,
I get to
ya
spend some
me
time
paso
with
un
my
rato con
son
mi
in
hijo,
the
ya en las
afternoons.
tardes. En primero tengo que pensar a mi hijo.
First, I have to think of my son. More than anything, I think of him, because I don't want to leave him always. What if something happens to me out there? Clearly my son would suffer. I earn very little here, but I know that I am with my family. I'm not separated from my family. The important thing with my son is that I don't want to be apart from him. Now that he is so young, there's not much chance I will leave him. That's it. My son was born here, born in San Cristobal, but I don't think it will be too difficult for him to adjust to where I am. My husband also works here as well. Well, we are helping each other, me and him, too, to make sure we are able to educate our son. On that, we are in agreement. Of course, we do not earn too much money, at least if we have to eat, to maintain our health, and for a few other things.
¿Ustedes tienen miedo que él va a ir a
Are you afraid he's going to go to Mexico City, Cancun, or the United States?
My son, at this point, I'm thinking that if I can give him the necessities, I don't think it will be necessary that he go elsewhere. I want right now to give him more education, more that he is educated, and just a little more, so that when he reaches working age, he won't be rejected then. And that is what I'm fighting for. My job and all that I'm doing, more than anything, I'm doing it for my son. I'm doing it for him.
Más que lo tengo que pasarlo ya a mi hijo. Es la que estoy haciendo.
Cuando tú eres joven,
When you were young, your first language was Spanish, or was it?
No, it was a dialect. My dialect is Tzotzil. I was speaking 100% Tzotzil, not even 50% in Spanish. Nothing more than Tzotzil in Spanish. I have 2 languages.
Yo no aprendí en la escuela.
Well, I do not learn Spanish in school. Since then, I learned for my job. In school, of course, I didn't learn anything. It was through the job that I began using it.
¿Enseñas tu hijo tu idioma?
Mi idioma, sí.
This language, yes. Well, of course he does not understand, because he is learning to speak with us, right? But they understand very well. It's also Tzotzil. Nothing more for him. He's from Chamula. It's another village. It's San Juan Chamula. And my village was San Andres La Ranza.
Do you know if some people from San Andres have gone to the United States?
Bueno, sí.
Yes, many.
Muchos que los... ¿Por cuáles las razones? Se van porque no tienen dinero.
They leave because they have no money.
Deben dinero y necesitan pagarlo. Entonces
or because they owe money and need to pay it back.
Tienen cómo pagarlo. Entonces es por eso se migran
Then comes the day when they are going to
se van
pay it
pues
off,
en los
but they don't
Estados
pay
Unidos.
it.
Pero hay veces,
And so they immigrate
hay
to
veces
other
se
states or
encuentran
to the
trabajo y
United
hay
States.
veces no
Sometimes they
encuentran
find
trabajo.
work,
Regresan igual,
and
o-
sometimes they don't
o
find
más
work.
o menos regresan
They return
mejor,
all the
o
same,
más peor.
or more or less better off.
Con mi cuñado
or
que
worse
no tiene
off.
mucho que regresó, hace como
One of my
4
brothers-in-law
meses
wasn't
regresó.
forced to return,
Dice que allá en
but he did
Estados
return
Unidos
4 months
trabajó
ago.
así en el campo,
In the
sembrando
United States, he worked in the
fresas,
fields, planting
o
strawberries, or
cortando
cutting fruit.
frutas, no sé qué otras
I don't know
cosas
what
más.
else he did.
Es-
He was
estuvo,
there almost 2 years, but he has
Casi 2
little to
años.
show for it.
Pero muy poquito lo que ganó, porque cuando estaba
But
aquí
when
en
he was here in
pues,
Chiapas, they
como
owed a
debe
lot of
mucho
money,
dinero, nada más mandaba para eso.
so he wasn't sending much money
Ya
back.
al final de cuentas ya se regresó, pues
But in the end, when he returned,
pagó lo que debe, pues no
he
le
was able to
quedó
pay
para
off what
él,
he
pues,
owed.
nada más tuvo pagar la
Still,
deuda
there
que
wasn't
debía.
anything left for him.
Sí.
He had to go there to pay off
Y
his
por
debt,
eso hay mucha gente
and that's
que se
why
van
people
así.
go there.
Es bonito el trabajo ya, pero más que nada que sí sufre uno demasiado. Tiene
As
uno
it
que
says,
levantarse
it is nice
temprano,
work there,
entrarse
but
uno
most of the
tarde,
time one
y
suffers
hay
there.
veces comen bien, y hay veces
You have to get up
comen
very early,
mal.
and you don't get home until late.
Quien dice,
Sometimes
allá
you
en
eat well,
Estados
but
Unidos,
sometimes
pues
you
sí,
eat poorly.
sufren demasiado. Hay muchos maltratos,
As
como
he
dice
says,
él,
back there in the
como-
United States,
como él,
one
pues, no
suffers
habla,
much. There are many
mucho
abuses, as he
español,
says, when one
muy
does
poco
not speak
español.
much Spanish
Entonces,
or very little
el
Spanish.
trabajo encuentra, pues claro que
Then the
no-
work
no es tan
situation that he
fácil para él,
encountered was
pues,
not
como
easy
no
either,
puede
because he
hablar
could
bien
not speak
español.
Spanish well, and there were
Entonces,
bosses who did not
hay
understand
patrones, pues,
Spanish
sí, no
either.
entienden español también. Para él,
For
pues, es un
him,
poco
it was a
riesgo.
precarious situation.
Pero un amigo que encontró pues allá, pues,
Fortunately, a friend who he met there gave him a hand. He advised him on how to get a job, and my brother-in-law started to work. Where my brother was, he was with other Mexicans from Puebla and some from Tapachula. My brother-in-law and his brother were the only ones from here. Just those two, no others. Almost all of those who were working there, they came from, as they say, other places, and also all of them that were there, of course, spoke only Spanish. And my brother couldn't speak Spanish, of course not. I think it was very difficult. I think it was difficult because he couldn't communicate with anyone. He couldn't even ask for anything. That's how it was at work, and all the time. It was one of the perils of being there. You don't speak Spanish, and you don't speak English. They did learn a little Spanish, but English like that, no. There were a few words they understood, but very few. Very few. More in Spanish, more or less, and now they understand some. Remember, it was the first time that they traveled there, and no one ever thought about traveling there. But really by necessity, he had to immigrate there, to the United States.